Reddit. Too many beards.
Yeah. Too much beard. I have the luxurious.
Too many beards is a solid answer.
Yeah.
If I could do this, can I do this? Tell me if the stream's like if we stop moving, but you keep hearing us, because I'm gonna leave this up. Maybe it's just my computer, because my computer's just like chugging right now. Discord. No one likes Discord.
Yeah, it's chugging on the actual Discord too. So.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it lagging on Discord?
Yeah, it's lagging on Discord.
It's not on mine.
Because I see him going. It's very subtle. Now it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's good.
Earlier you were kind of struggling there.
Just gonna keep doing this the whole stream. Settle in.
Okay, Axl Rose.
If I open like this, does it still do that? You guys move like this because I have the chat over my head. Good. That's gonna be. I'm gonna cut that out and import that.
You need to like put sunglasses over our eyes too, so we can Stevie Wonder it.
Who's sending messages? My aunt. My aunt's hanging out. Week 3 recap.
Oh, did I put that?
Week 3.
My
goodness.
What? Cut it all. We're done.
Amateur hour.
Unplug.
I can't work with these conditions.
All right, I fixed it. All right.
Okay, well then we're back with sunglasses. With now 33% more sunglasses. Welcome.
Actually, these are 3D glasses.
With now 33% 3D capable. We're done. What are we? You want to kick this thing off now, or we want to wait a couple minutes?
We can wait a few minutes.
So I don't know if you're still going to do that. I didn't know if you were.
I do what?
Go do your thing.
Shave?
Yeah. You said you were gonna.
No,
shave.
I don't need to shave. Oh, I do need to shave, but let's be clear. I do need to shave, but it's not something that I'm going to do before we start talking about Dice Masters.
So maybe.
Well, I am going to listen behind you and watch some Greatest Showman while you.
Apparently, I tried to turn that thing down as far as I can, but Hugh Jackman has just got those pipes.
He got them pipes. See, I'm frozen on my end.
Yeah, I got.
Is anybody else frozen on my end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is popping in and out.
Why it's so rough?
I don't know.
Does it normally do this?
I don't know.
No.
I'm tempted to leave the soundtrack on in the background just so you can see if you're freezing or
not. Robert says no lag on ours. And then Laurier says YouTube can't handle all 3 of you at once. Too many beards. Yeah, too many beards. Okay.
Too many beards.
Finally looking better. But the video.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
Robert, y'all in the future?
Shut up, Robert.
Oh
Shut up, Robert.
It might just be my end. We may just do this on your end.
All right, I can send you the video of it afterwards, and you can do the fancy stuff afterwards if you want. It's up to you.
Oh, videos dropping frames. Yeah, I see massive frame drop.
Yep. Yeah, I'm seeing massive frame loss.
I'm gonna call it on my end so we can get started.
All right, cool.
Oh.
You need to practice this sometime soon.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I want to do this more often, so. All right.
Stop streaming. Yes. Exit.
All right.
Stopping stream. Weird. Why is this happening?
I don't know. The old school. Terror power. Okay. All right. So mine does look good right now. No issues. I'm in the present time, not in the future. So
backwards.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. We were working through a few technical issues. By the way, this is Chris from Chris and Rob Game Room. I'm joined by Joe Tabasco Rogue Vega, Stephen Cookus of DM Armada.
Close enough.
How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. Can't complain.
Enjoying a little background noise, which I'm fixing to do something about.
That's soundtrack music, sir. That's soundtrack music.
Okay, well.
Hey, you guys see the toys behind me? You guys want to hang out and build something on that? thing back
What
there?
you got there?
Are you kidding me? What do I have there? That right there is the top of the line children's tool table. Come on.
Oh man,
Times.
it's been
Sears
like
and
forever
Roebuck?
since.
Top of the line. What did he say? He's not speaking. Why is no one speaking?
I'm speaking.
No, there's kind of a lag with you, DM Armada.
There is no lag with me.
It's only us
I'm
that's
upset.
lagging.
I don't get this. You guys, let's just move to Hangouts.
Are you sure?
No, I'm
We
kidding.
can do that.
Okay. Okay.
This is a joke.
Whatever it takes to give the people what they
Just
want.
understand, most of the things that I'm going to say are going to be jokes that you won't, find funny. So if you come into the whole thing with that in mind, you can have a great time.
Okay.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And if you don't, then I guess that's on you.
Okay. So Robert's in chat talking to people. He couldn't be on stream tonight. He's had a few things going on, and he just couldn't be on tonight.
You got punched in the eye.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. So this week we're going to be talking about week 2 recap, what we saw, what we liked, and we're also going to be talking about some changes that went through with the tournament. I know people probably going to have a lot of questions for us. Me and Steven are on the planning committee for the tournament, and we'll talk about that. But so far this week, how did y'all's matches go? If I can use my Texas twang for a second.
Swimmingly.
Who did you play?
I played Laurier. Laurier was my week 2 matchup. He's a really, really tough opponent. Great guy. First game for me was my Nabi control team versus his Mr. Fix-It team. I believe he won the roll-off, and I won the roll-off, and I got to counter queue into his Fix-It team. So I picked control because that just generally Fix-It is so strong and so fast that if you don't have enough control pieces to deal with it, you just lose. So picked control and missed control, and he got to go first, which means he did a really good thing, which was by Shriek, turn 1. And so I lined up Shriek and the Blob on turn 3. But unfortunately did not roll Shriek, so the Blob was blanked by his Shriek. Did nothing, but I chose to field it, which is why I did not lose the game, because I had a 1/8 blocker that made it really tough for damage to go through. So I ended up going to turns and snuck in a couple of sidekicks to pick up the first game on time, then got absolutely royally clocked by that same team when I ran
Not control.
Boom Boom, because I didn't have any control. At least I didn't have as much control. So that was how that game 2 went, and then game 3 was Boom Boom versus Boom Boom, and it was really cool.
All right.
Really just kind of like dodged around each other's Boom Boom's being out on the field. Had some good blob usage. That was fun.
Yeah.
And ended up picking up the win.
Nice. And you did stream that one, correct? It's on your channel, DM Armada?
Yes, it is on the channel, so feel free to pop over and watch it. And I just spoiled it all for you, so I'm sure you're going to really enjoy watching all of the things that I just explained. So there it is.
I'll actually put a link to your channel in the video, or in the stream right now. Joe, I watched yours. Rough. But why don't you walk us through yours? It's not posted. I don't think he's going to be posting your match. Who you played?
It was Zach Pope with Zach and DM. Yeah, Dice Masters with Zach and James. Sorry. The first game we played was I believe it was my Boom Boom team up against his Mr. Fix-It team. And I just couldn't roll anything to save my life. I literally, when I needed a bolt, never came up. When I needed a certain action to come up, never came up. So it was just horrible all the way around. Couldn't get anything done as far as bag management because of the poor rolls. And he schooled me that game. And then the second game, I decided to switch over to my Cap. No, I'm sorry. It was It was the opposite. So it was my boom boom versus his cap. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then the second game was my cap versus his Jarvis Fixit team, which I love that team, his Jarvis Fixit team, but he didn't really do any of that stuff with the swinging in and then no wearing because I had K Bishop Global to stop him for a few rounds.
Mm-hmm.
But it came down to a really close couple of last turns. I think it was like we were down to like turn 0, 1, and 2. And then you guys that were commentating let me know after the match that I still could have clutched that out had I attacked a turn on like turn 1 of time or turns. And so it was just a really close game, but Zach was able to close that one out too.
I mean, honestly, you couldn't roll a character dice if your life depended on it. I watched that game, and I mean, you were doing everything correctly because he could not get his Mr. Fix-It out for unblockable. You just kept shutting that down every single time. Your characters just didn't roll. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was pretty painful. It you can do a lot about getting your team straight and with buy strategies and stuff like that, but if you don't get the rolls, it just messes you up.
Yeah, it was rough.
But yeah, that was.
Robert said you've been hanging out with him too much.
Apparently,
he had worse rolls than you, Robert. Worse rolls than you.
It was painful.
And then I played Gary Kondek. It was a really interesting match. I think I can't even remember how my team went. Let me look at the form. I've been doing so many things. I'm sorry, fellas. I'm sorry. Let me.
I came in a little bit later on the second game, and it looked like you had a lot of things under control there.
I was trying. Hold on.
So Joe, was that a 2-1 or a 2-0?
No, he solidly beat me 2-0. Like the first game, because of the bad rolls, I couldn't put up much of a fight, not for lack of trying. And then the second game, I put up a really good fight, but again, whenever it came down to turns, he was able to get there because I made a poor decision. So like, I can't remember what the life totals were, but they were pretty close. It was neck and neck, really. Yeah. I had Captain America out. He had two Jarvises that he bought, and rather than doing it during the attack phase, he just went ahead and nowhered both of his fix-its in so that he could at least have them in there. And I had been doing really good about this time I actually bought the Green Devil mask, by the way. Hashtag
GDM.
Yeah. I actually had the Green Devil mask, and that was good. But it just wasn't enough because he kept it down to 3 characters every time.
Yeah, it was rough. So basically, yeah, I really hate it when I can't roll, when my opponent can't roll, I feel terrible. And Zach, the whole entire time, as he was like pounding you, getting everything he needs, when he finally had to switch strategies, he didn't really pound you where he needed to. He just was apologizing to you for your rolls. Zach's super nice guy, but man.
Yeah, I mean, he's a way better pilot. So my Captain America team got inspiration from his Captain America team from earlier on in the WKO, and I was like, well, that can be done, post rotation. So I made an attempt at it. He brought his. He's the better pilot because he's had more experience with it. So when it comes down to like our games, if you put them side by side, you can see, especially on that on round 1, my very first time playing it, I just struggled so hard with it. And then this time around, I was actually doing a whole lot better. It's just I didn't choose to attack at the right time because I wanted to play more cautiously. Yeah. I was trying to play super cautious. That's why I drug out to times. But my build, like I was telling him earlier, my build is actually more towards like the long game, and his build is just straight up and it's straightforward. It's just, he's going to do what he needs to do to get there. And mine's a little bit more like, I want to make sure that all the pieces are in place before doing Captain America.
Yeah. So getting back to my games, I pulled it up and I remember it now. Sorry, I've been sleeping and dealing with team changes. But the first game was Yeah, I know. It was my Yanti Boom Boom team versus his Boom Boom Magic Missile team. So the thing that I did really well, and he had some bad rolls. When he finally started getting stuff out, I bought Agamotto, the die, and put it on his Magic Missile, and it was doing damage to him every single time he used it, and he would still do damage to me. It kept me in the game to where I could finally get my pieces out and roll them, and it actually wound up doing what it needed to do. That went to time, and I wound up winning on, I think, like turn 2. And then the second game, it was my Nabi collector team versus his Spider-Man team. I had to change my strategy up because I knew he was going to be trying to reach for Spider-Man as soon as he possibly could to push through damage with sidekicks on the team. So I just straight bought Nabi, didn't buy collector, didn't do any of the ramp, and just was pushing as much damage as I possibly could. Didn't give him a chance to buy his Spider-Man and put him on his heels, and just kind of won the game by being super aggressive with Nabi.
Yeah.
So it was that didn't go to time, but it was a tough match. So, all right.
Okay. Sweet.
Any games that anyone didn't play but they saw or heard of and thought was really good? I'm sorry.
I didn't have an opportunity to watch anybody else's games.
Yeah, I didn't watch as much. I only watched about 3 of the games. And the ones that I did watch, I was only able to catch the tail end or just one game of the round. Or the match, excuse me. So, but I did hear some things. And that was pretty good.
Yeah.
So what did, Chris, did you see anything interesting? You like to watch a lot of the games, which is really cool.
I try to watch as many as this week I was sick part of the week, so I couldn't watch a lot of them. I did watch a few of them. Like I watched parts of Zane and Scott's matches. They did it on 2 different days because scheduling conflict. So that's the first one that's been done. We didn't say people had to finish it on one day, so that's perfectly fine. They almost had a tie, but I feel bad for Zane because he had to do something, because if he didn't do a certain thing, it was going to go to Scott just winning. So he had to all-out attack, which led to an open field on the next turn for overtime, another overtime set. So he had a clear field to swing through, and it feels rough. But we're working on the overtime. So
on the overtime, you mean like on 5 turns?
Yeah, we're trying. We've got some ideas. Shadow Meld's been helping us with that. We've gotten a lot of suggestions for people for how we should handle ties. Yeah. Me and Robert have been consumed by ties because we're trying to figure that out, because we got a few things in the work. Yeah, Robert hate ties. Like we're thinking about doing it, which has been presented to us from Shadow Meld, which is Patrick Barley. He's really good when it comes to this kind of stuff. Basically, if after time and 5 turns, it goes to each win switch to the one that has the least amount of wins. If it ties again, you get to pick, and if it ends after the 3rd match of being tied again, it's a tie match.
Wait, so after 5 turns, if their life is tied, then
they switch. They switch to a different team, and it's a tie game.
Okay.
So both people get half a win. So that's how it's going to go in the standings. Oh. And then so it's either going to be a 1-5 split, a 2-5 0.5, or a I mean, that's really how it's going to go, is a 2-5 no, I'm sorry. A 2-5 to 0.5 win, or a 1.5 to 1.5. So that's I think it's going to be an easier way to do it, less time.
Gotcha. Interesting. I'd have to sit there and think that through to fully comprehend and have an opinion on it, I think.
Shadow had to explain to me 3 times.
That sounds pretty complicated.
Yeah. It's just, you have to win with each team, though. And the half win counts as half a win. So.
Yeah, interesting.
All right.
What's the difference? No, I don't want to get off of tangent. Whatever. Tangent. It's going to be a tangent.
We'll talk for 40 minutes about
that.
Then.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about this. So, if you're looking at the standings at the end of week 2, so we've all played 2 matches, which includes somewhere in between 4 to 6 games. Zach is sitting at the top. He is the only person who has not dropped a game. Zach Pope, 100% won all 4 of his games, and he's done it into 2 O's in order to sit at the top. Tied for second, which is kind of a weird thing to say because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people who are currently 4-1. They're 2-0.
5.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4.
Chris Club.
I see 4. Chris is 4-2. Right?
No, Paul Vidra is 4-2.
Yes, and so am I. Am I not seeing this correctly? No, I'm 4-1. So here's what I see. I see James Bloor, Michael, Patrick, so Shadow Meld, and me sitting at 4-1, with Chris Club and Paul sitting at 4-2. Is that incorrect?
I'm showing Chris Club tied with you guys because at point differential, that's what I'm going off of.
Oh, so I'm talking games. Games.
Oh, okay, all right.
So and we can break it down however we want, but it makes the most sense, and I think it's the easiest to grasp looking at the games here. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that says something too about how teams interact with other teams. It's kind of an important when you're playing something like this. I think this format, it's very important to look at how many games it took, because if you do have to use, or if you do drop a game with a specific team, you're still going to have to find a way to win with that team. So the number of games that you do it with, like, for example, Zach Pope, the fact that he has not dropped a game with either of the 2 teams that he's played means a lot more than someone who is 4-1 or 4-2, which is kind of interesting. So Paul and Chris are both 4-2. They're 2-0 in matches, but they have 4 games to 2 games. And then so that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people who are sitting at 2-0. So that kind of sits up there at the top of that little leaderboard. What do you guys think about the number 7 being 2-0? Does that seem comfortable to you? Does that seem normal?
It does. Going out of round 2, it seems normal. Then we'll see the shakeups this coming round.
Yes, we will. 3. Which we can talk about matchups if we wish here in a bit. If we don't wish, I know you were talking maybe not, but I don't see too big of an issue.
I haven't announced them yet because I'm waiting till midnight, but I think we can because
I don't think there's a point in holding back. I don't think someone's going to, swap in one card onto a team that counters just their week 3 matchup, because that doesn't really play well.
Yeah.
Don't do that if you're watching. That's a bad idea.
Very bad.
It's not going to end well for you.
Yeah, because you're only playing to the strengths of the match. You're not playing to the strengths of the whole tournament.
So I think it'd be kind of cool if we announced on stream here. What do you guys think?
I like that. I like that a lot.
Right? People that tune in get to have first dibs on that information.
Steven, it's up to
What's
you.
Up?
You can announce it. It's on you.
Well, we'll do that in a bit then.
All right.
So we have, like I said, 7 people there. We've got a nice big chunk of people. I think this is 11 people here that are 1-1 with a variety of amounts of games won and lost, anywhere ranging between 2-3 or 3-2. So kind of a flip in between, with a couple of people 2-2. So Chris, you're actually 2-2. Did you know that?
Yeah, I
which is an interesting thing. You're the only person in the tournament that is 2-2.
Well,
how does that feel?
It's kind of a dubious honor.
You've gotten O2'd and you O2'd someone. Congratulations.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. Michael really just put it to me the first week, and I just did it. I was shocked with how much he just soundly beat me. That I just started practicing after that, and I practiced. I practiced in my mind. I practiced anyone that would play. Shadow Meld beat the crap out of me for a few times, and yeah, I played whenever I could.
That's the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you want results, you know, you got to work for it.
We're all about results here, guys. Come on, we got to get results.
All right, I'm going to shift my camera over so I can see my screen better. All right. Oh, this is so much better. I can see everything now. So, and then we have the last chunk of people who sadly are 0-2. Sorry, Joe.
It's okay.
But ranging in between 2-4 to 0-4. Again, sorry, Joe. This is your week though, man. Round 3. This is the week.
I am certainly hoping so. I need to get a 2-0. Like I need to get a shutout in order to have any chance at the top.
To climb your way back in. Yeah.
Because if I get like a 2-1, then it's not going to be good for tiebreakers.
It's gonna be a slow slog if you do that. I don't recommend it. So here's some more interesting information, and I think this goes a long way into understanding what we're all up against and what the meta of this tournament itself is.
Mm-hmm.
So the top 2 teams that have been brought, and this is going to be a bit vague because I'm not giving you team lists, especially for this first one. Sidekick teams out of all of the, and let's see, how many teams are there submitted? There's 26 players, is that right?
Yeah, 26
players. That's 52 teams submitted.
Mm-hmm.
So out of all of those, sidekick teams were submitted 6 times. So there's 6 sidekick teams floating out there, and that is a very vague win condition that I called it because I think literally every single one of those sidekick teams are made differently, have a different composition. And tied with that at 6 is Collector Nobby. So Collector Nobby and sidekick teams are the most prevalent within this little meta here, followed by Mr. Fix-It, which is interesting and not really surprising.
That's a really powerful card.
Yeah, I would agree. And let me double check on the numbers. I believe it is 5. My little calculator thing messed up,
and I believe Fix-It is on a couple of the sidekick teams, isn't he?
He's on one of them.
He's on one of the
which makes it even more interesting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the ridiculous one that Zach has.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I say it's dubious to call them all sidekick teams because that's how they win for the most part. But some of them have other win conditions on there. So Mr. Fix-It is prevalent in the tournament with 5 brings, and Boom Boom Yanti is also prevalent with 5 brings.
I believe I'm the only one that brought super rare Yanti.
You are. There's only one person who did that, and it is you.
I'm the only jerk.
So I don't know about that. Not anymore, man.
Yeah. You're just the only brave one, I guess, would be the better term for it.
Interestingly enough, there are 2 Boom Boom and Morph teams, and there are 2 Boom Boom / other. So there's a win condition attached to that, like only Boom Boom plus just Magic Missile or something like that, right? So Boom Boom actually comprises most of the lists in comparison to everything else, which is very interesting. What do you guys think about these breakdowns?
Joe, I've seen these all before, so I'm not surprised.
Going into the tournament, whenever it was first announced, we all expected as much because there was kind of we did a little meta breakdown, and you even did a meta breakdown to Armada earlier, and we knew what cards were going to be key in teams. We just didn't know the composition and how solid all the compositions of the teams were going to be. If it was a unified team list, or excuse me, if people had different ideas, and obviously they do. They have different approaches. We see many of them in the team list themselves that are unique, but most of them are to attack the meta. And like you said, Mr. Fix-It's in there. He's in a sidekick team as a way to attack the meta. Or you have certain Collector Nobby teams running 1 card variants to attack the meta kind of deal. So we saw Boom Boom. We knew Boom Boom Yanti was going to be prevalent. We knew sidekick teams coming into it were going to be prevalent. We didn't know how strong a presence Mr. Fix-It was. It's a good card. We just didn't know how strong the presence of it was going to be.
See, I expected that one over sidekick teams, to be honest. I didn't expect as many sidekick teams as we are seeing, and I expected a ton more Mr. Fix-It teams. When I broke this down, I actually double-checked it like 3 times because I was like, no, Mr. Fix-It appears more than this.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It's 5. But he sneaks on, like you said, he sneaks onto a couple of sidekick lists. Also, fun fact, we have 2 Dragon teams and 2 Captain America teams. Three
I thought there was
teams
only
with
one.
common Hulk. Three teams with common Hulk.
I'm about to put my change. Common Hulk is going on my Nabi Collector team, replacing Collector.
Really?
And
Who's
I'm
the other
very
dragon
interesting.
team?
and
I
I'm
must be mistaken.
I also replaced what else did I replace on that team? I'm sorry. I'm blanking right now. I can't open up Discord to look at it.
We got Matt and Paul with dragons.
Yep.
Oh, Paul. Okay, he's the other one. See, I have yet to see any one of his matches. It's not that I'm not trying to. It's that I just never am around whenever he's streaming or on stream.
Yeah. No, it's not Magic Missile, Ben. It's Unstable Canister that I put on there to avoid adventurers screwing me.
Yeah, unstable canister is better, isn't it?
Yeah. For my team, yeah.
I actually considered Magic Missile on my Boom Boom team because I have Tabaxi Rogue on it, and you can get a little bit of extra value. But you don't. I don't want to bring the Magic Missile Global because then they can just ping out your Boom Boom, which is gross.
Yeah.
So I chose not to run that. Here's even more interesting things. So here are the breakdowns for the people that are 2-0 currently. Here are the teams that they are running. We've got Boom Boom and Morph, Boom Boom and Yanti, Boom Boom and Yanti. We've got Captain America, Collector Nabi, Mr. Fix-It, Nabi Danger Room, Sidekicks, and Immortals. So those are the 2-0 teams currently. What do you guys make of those? Seems good, right?
Two solid teams for almost everyone running the that are 2-0. It's not a surprise that they're 2-0. Yeah, I've seen a lot of the 2-0 matches, and they also manage their bag quite well. I'm not saying no one else does. I'm just saying the people that are 2-0, I've seen them manage their bags quite well, and that's another thing.
Yeah, on a lot of those teams, whenever you look at their who they're playing against and stuff like that, it's a combination of both skill and the lists and how good they are in the matchups.
Mm-hmm.
So it really speaks to the pilot's skill on those 2-0s.
Yeah,
it speaks a lot to them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it takes a level of bag management to separate yourself over the long term too. The more rounds you go, bag management becomes important, and just like the general basic strategic like game plans, pedagogy is really the best word, but it's a strange word to use in this situation. But like understanding the fundamentals of the game and sort of beating your opponent on the fundamentals is really how you separate yourself over long periods of time from other players of similar skill levels. And so I think going forward, the people that rise to the top are going to start showing that a little bit as it continues. And it's a good way for you, if you've dropped a game, to climb back in as well, is to just go right back to, okay, if I do this, does it make my bag small? Yes, that means I roll my things more, right? That means I roll the thing that I totally missed again, you know? So I think that's a good way to get better at the game, but also it's a way that people separate themselves from the list. Funnily enough, we have a ton of collector Nabi teams, or collector teams, period. There's one collector Firefly team, and several, 1, 2, 3 Boom Boom teams in the 1-1, 2 Fix-It teams, 2 Sidekick teams. And then there's also Boom Boom teams down in the O2 bracket, some Sidekick teams down there, 1 Mr. Fix-It, a nice Dum Dum Dugan team, which is very cool. So it really does show that these teams are piloting is important, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yes, there's some that have potential to really, be key in the matchups, especially against collector Navi teams, because I think that's what everybody went into the tournament preparing for, to either play or play against as collector Navi, some form of that.
Yeah, I was totally shocked by Sidekick team. I did not see this many sidekicks, like you said earlier. I was expecting maybe 1 or 2 sidekicks, and then when I was putting in the teams into the data, I was like, "What? So many sidekick teams? This is ridiculous."
I thought that too. I thought it was going to be sort of an off-meta play that just goes hard aggro and tries to, beat out like a control team, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't expect it to be fully embraced like it is, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I think it does have a ton of potential.
Next thing we need to do is probably try to figure out the control pieces for teams, and because I want to see the breakdown of Green Devil Mask, because I think that's on almost every single person, one of someone's teams.
Well, we were talking about it earlier, and I think since you've implemented the team changes, people have either subbed in more Tobashi Rogue or Green Devil Mask. They've chosen to include those things where they didn't have them before, and that speaks volumes to their addition and how good they are in the matchups.
That's interesting.
The meta shit.
That is something I would have certainly considered had I thought of it, but didn't actually think about it. Didn't think about that. I made some other interesting switches, I think.
Well, with Collector Nabi, they're always going to have a minimum of 3 to 4 characters out in order to really be effective at what they do. They're going to have 2 control pieces, Collector himself, and whenever they filled that Nabi for the ability. So you're always gonna see that and be just you're gonna see Green Devil Mask not be the silver bullet, but pretty good deterrent for that.
Definitely.
Yeah, Robert, I figured you weren't changing your team because it's not. You've already turned in your science fair project. You don't want to change it anymore. All right. And another thing, a lot of the 2-0 team people, I'll say this, they care about what the other person. I've seen a lot of them. They kind of care what the other person's doing, but they kind of bully with their pieces and force you to change the issue.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on the team, but I think that's just a good general rule of thumb, especially if you're a team that tries to gain the initiative and just play off it like an aggro team.
Yeah.
If you're an aggro team but you're buying Shriek like turn 2, you're not playing aggro.
Yeah.
You're not playing aggro, right?
You need to be the beatdown, not get beat down.
If they're not buying their control pieces to stop you, then you're not playing the team right.
Yep.
Or you didn't construct the team correctly because they don't have to worry about you, or they're just not doing it right.
Or dice rolls.
Well, speaking on what you just said, Armada, it's about team construction as well, because players look at your team, everybody goes over that whole pre-match kind of thing where they're like, okay, do I need to be concerned about this? Do I need to run my control piece out earlier versus later? And then once they see how your construction does or doesn't work, then you can kind of get a feel for it yourself in the game. You go, well, hey, he hasn't bought his Shriek turns 1 through 4, so am I doing something? Or they haven't bought their Green Devil Mask. Do I really need to worry about this?
Yep.
Do I need to run Scarlet Witch if I haven't seen a single person go for their pieces as far as action-wise?
Chris, what you typing over there?
Oh,
seems really interesting.
Laurier was just talking about Hellfire Club, and until I got to the tournament and I saw him play Hellfire Club on his Mr. Fix-It team, I hadn't seen it. Granted, my meta is my meta is very small. It's Duncanville or online playing against Robert and a few other people, and it just kind of took me off guard. I'm used to seeing Robert's Mr. Fix-It team, and when I saw other ones, I was like, oh, that's how those go. Okay.
Yeah, Hellfire Club's great. It's a great card. Great for that team because he's always going to be the biggest,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There's very few moments, I guess, in the mirror where it could be the opposite. But yeah, he's always really going to be the biggest, and it's a natural fit.
Yeah.
4 cost makes it a bit heavy, but I mean, you're buying a 6 cost, so
you're
heavy already.
You're buying a win condition. So 4 cost is not bad for a win condition if you roll it.
Which Switch kind of keeps that from happening to a certain extent. Yeah. So other final thoughts about what we've seen thus far up until this point before we move on? With good music right there.
Yeah.
With some of the changes that I've posted in Discord and people can see, and I've posted all the ones that I have except for Zane's. I don't have Zane's up right now. That was the last one I received that I couldn't add in before the stream. People see the writing on the wall and they know what they got to play and they know what they got to do. And I think it's going to be a little bit more interesting going forward. I think the matchups are not. We're not going to have too many 2-0s, as many as we had the first week. I don't think that's going to happen again.
Well, that's actually a good segue. Do you want to go ahead and tell us a few of the things that that you've seen switched? You don't have to say specifics, but since you've gone through all of that data, you mentioned Tabaxi Rogue and you mentioned Green Devil Mask. Is that right? A lot of switches to those.
Let me pull that up. And Zane is listed there. Okay, so a lot of them, yeah, I see Green Devil Mask. On some teams, I see Green Devil Mask and Tabaxi. And yeah, there's a lot of people, like, there's not too many rare bishops in the tournament. And
nope.
I was really happy about that. Someone, though, put on rare bishop, and he knows who he is. And then, which is fine. I'm just being funny. Yeah, there's a lot of like things that people were using for ramp, that either this format's way too fast for that. Like Queen Grab Stack, it's been replaced on a team or two and replaced with Tabaxi Rogue just for that ramp and control.
Yeah.
So
it's a really good card.
Yeah, and then Investigations, if they weren't on there before, put on there. And Crystal is going bye-bye. No one wants to put her on their team, and they're putting Acererak on there, which is Acererak, which is a much better card.
Yeah, mainly just because it actually does what it's supposed to do. Whereas I think people, including myself, put Crystal on our teams because we forgot. At least I'm speaking for myself, because I didn't think about the interaction between it and Scarlet Witch, namely the you can't beats you can, and so it's just an easy switch to pop it back on.
Yeah,
Acererak seems good.
Makes sense.
What did you switch to each of your teams?
I've already discussed mine. Joe?
I switched the Investigation and the Power Bolt. And mainly because I didn't have those cards at the first time, but like you were saying before, Chris, the meta's a little too fast for 4-cost basic actions.
Yeah.
To do anything, to help you ramp or to help you, get there faster with your win con. So
the only one
I had to switch those.
The only one I disagree with is Hellfire Club. I think that one's perfect where it's at.
Well, I'm talking as far as like basic actions go.
Oh, okay.
If you're having to pay more than 3 for your basic action, then you're struggling.
Yeah, that is one of the constraints about this, that it is a little bit off-putting. You can't use anything more than if you're using it for, if you have a 4-cost that's you're having to purchase it. It's past you in this format.
Yeah. So Chris, what were yours again?
I put Common Hulk and Unstable Canister on my Navi control team, and I took off. I took Villainous Pact and the Collector off.
Gotcha. Cool. So I swapped on. I'm running a Navi control team as well, a Collector control, and I'm running a Boom Boom team. And I did indeed switch the Acererak. Put that back on there. And then, interestingly, I took a page from Stuart Schulman, who I got to see this past weekend, and he suggested something that I didn't think about as heavily at first, just because I totally forgot about the card. But there's a card called Uncommon Batgirl from the Batman set that has an Intimidate ability that allows you to intimidate. It only applies to villains, but anytime you field her, she basically just removes a villain, period. So if you put her on a Collector control team, you can pay 1 to bring her out and remove a villain, which is pretty cool. Plus she's 3 and she's a 1/3/4 on top. And so you can just hard buy her, like several of her, and just go to town removing villains. And it's not a when fielded effect, so it doesn't get affected by Madame Mask. It can remove all of the control pieces that people run, because all the control pieces that people run are villains. So it works. It seems to work pretty well. Well, I guess we'll find out. So credit to him for throwing that out there, because that's a really interesting ability. And if you don't know, Intimidate is pretty good. So we'll see how that plans out. I swapped off Boom, or not Boom Boom. That would be a bad choice. I swapped off Dupe, which was an interesting 4-cost that you could bring in and use the Awaken ability with him to spin him up and remove 1 to 2 character dice on a turn. So that's pretty cool.
I always want Dupe to be so much better than what he is, but it's just, I don't know.
It seemed to work pretty well in the KO Dupe one.
I love the KO Dupe. That's one of my. It's so shenanigan-y that I just love it.
The Awaken one is pretty good too.
Yeah, I like the
Awaken one is pretty good. It's a 4-drop, which is pretty crazy. It comes in if you collect it in on a 1/1, and then you polymorph it up twice or mutation it up twice to a 6/6, which is bonkers. And you capture 2 things while you do it. Capturing kind of stinks, but you know, versus Intimidate, which they can't get their character back if you intimidate it out. But capturing it and then them removing a 6/6 doesn't seem like a very easy thing. Or even the 3/4 side. It's got a 1/3/4. That's not easily removed, especially when it's your turn. So
I'm working on a KO Dupe with Absorbing Man and Rare Polaris.
Yeah. You're not the only one working on that. There are several people that have told me that.
So I can remove 4 and just swing in for massive damage.
Yeah, I've heard about it. It seems pretty good.
It's just so this and this and this have to be perfect to do it. That's the only problem.
Yeah.
But the only thing that that Batgirl doesn't help with is Bishop.
You're right.
But that's it. There's not that
that's
many
what
bishops.
That's what you have all the other control pieces for.
Yep. So you're good to go.
It's really just a control kind of a piece to stop. But I think what everyone's done, if they have done, like you said, and swapped on Green Devil Mask to counter just really most teams that get stuff on the board, is a solid way to counter collector control, as long as they roll energy and not character faces.
Yeah.
Because if they roll character faces, then you just chuckle to yourself while you kill them. Nobby, you know, that sort of thing. So it's a pretty good card for countering most of the things in the meta. It's like a nice little catch-all that doesn't quite do, like overpowered things. But it's really strong in general. Right. So, yeah. So, let's do this then. Are there any other topics you guys wanted to cover really quickly?
There's only the
Anything
one.
you think of?
Going back to the changes that everybody made. Seen 3 based on the team list that you've been changing, Chris, on the Discord. I've seen 3 Tabashi Rogues being brought in and 2 Green Devil Masks being brought in.
Yep.
So it's a change, but it's not as much as I would have thought at first blush.
That's the biggest cards changing. So
I guess the question also remains how many started on the teams, and that's something that I'm going to be crunching numbers for this week.
Kind of a lot.
Listing every single card on every single team. It's going to be a nightmare, but we're going to do it.
The Discord will help you with that because it's all listed in picture form, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be nice-ish.
Yeah, I took
time
to do that.
Spreadsheet it, man. Spreadsheeting it would have been easy. Just a couple clicks and it sorts itself. But
yeah,
pumping it in little by little is fine.
I'm not the spreadsheet guy here.
going back to those changes, I think everybody wanted to move to Tabashi Rogue because of the prevalence of investigation / spot. But I don't think people should be relying too heavy on that because Chris and I were testing last night, and even in a matchup where Tabashi Rogue was out while he was doing that stuff, it did max 12 damage. It didn't actually get me the win. It never once got me the win in the 3 games that we played.
And there's ways
I don't think it's designed to give you the win. I think it's designed to keep you close. Yeah. Or I think it's most useful to keep you close. Like let me think of an example.
I have Agamotto on a team. Putting that on a basic action that keeps you in teams.
Yeah. That's a good example. When Laurier and I played, he had Tabaxi Rogue out, and I had to decide between, rolling the 2 dice and going with. I think he had Investigate that allowed me to do that. It pinged me for like 3 or 4 and put me from comfortable position ahead in life total to right neck and neck, like he's probably going to win if it goes one more turn. And so I think that's the best thing it has going for it, is that you can't do anything for free with regards to ramp anymore. And in a game with 20 life, if you do 4 or 5 of it with just having a dude out there, like a 3-3 or a 2-2 out sitting out, I mean, like, you're winning.
Yeah.
So I think it does have some impact.
Well, so the role I use it for on my Captain America team is 2 roles: to disrupt bag management, and you have to be real careful with it too, because it's a double-edged sword. They can do the same thing to you, but then again, you're just staying ahead of them because they're having to conserve 2 energy every turn to do that on your turn and their turn. So it's a double-edged sword, but I use it for bag management disruption, and I also use it to punish draws, like you were saying.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah. Shadow Mel kind of said it best. He said, because his Jubilee team with Mimic, he said, if they're doing that damage to me when I'm getting my win con and getting it out there, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Which he's right.
That's the way that I viewed it. Is like, if I'm going to win by rolling these next 3 dice or 2 dice, then I'm going to take 3 damage so that I can have a higher percentage chance of just winning, like right now.
Yeah.
I'm not. It does damage, and if I miss, then I took that chance and it didn't pan out. So benefits to you for running it and purchasing it, but it's one of those. It's not going to win you the game.
Yeah.
And if it does, then that person that was playing against it probably didn't play against it very well.
It not going to win you the game, but it'll keep you in the game, and that's always a good option.
But yeah, people need to look at it more as like a bag management disruption kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she's just ripping it back there. Listen to her go.
Yeah.
Man, gotta love you some Greatest Showman. I wanted to see that in theaters, but never got around to it. It's hard when you have 2 kids under the age of 4.
Trust me, I know.
Get away and see some films.
Yeah.
I'm specifically to watch my children on the weekend that I can go and see Avengers Infinity War. And I'm going to sit in Avengers Infinity War. I'm going to sit in that movie theater, and I'm going to open my team box of
You can dream, but it ain't going to happen.
A man can dream, though. A man can dream.
Okay, so is that it for the teams, or is there anything else you guys noticed?
That it is. So I think here's what we do next. Can you guys still hear me? Everyone just kind of faded for a second. That was weird.
You did fade for a second, but you're good now.
Oh, I faded? Oh, wow. Okay, so here's what I think. I think we straight up announced pairings. What do you guys think?
Sounds good.
It's good. It's for you, man.
They have 2 hours to submit their changes. We gave them wonderful ideas for things they should change to. If they haven't done it already, congratulations. Procrastination paid off for you. Go you. So we'll go ahead and talk through the pairings now. And if you're on the chat, then feel free to call out that person that is also in the chat, and you guys can yell at each other and tell each other that you're going to destroy them. So first off, we've got Josh, and I'm going to say last names, and I'm going to mispronounce most of them, and that's fine. And you can live with that, and you can blame me for it, and I'll take that blame. Is it Josh Bodie? I'm going to go with Bodie. What do you think?
It's Bodie.
Yeah.
We're going to go with Josh Bodie versus Nick W, because I'm not going to try that one.
Wale.
So I should have tried it. That was it. All right, so Nick Wale and Josh Bodie are paired up against each other in round number 3. Both of those guys are what? 1-1, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
1-1 indeed.
So Josh has a sidekicks team or a variation thereof, and that Collector Firefly team, the only one that was in the tournament. In that
yes, that is correct. He does have Collector Firefly. And what does Nick have?
Nick has Boom Boom Morph, which I caught one of his matches, and I was like, man, that's a good way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also has the Common Hulk.
Yeah, he is one of the 2 with the Hulk team, or one of the 3, I think, that has a Common Hulk win condition.
And I have yet to see that play out. I have yet to see that go off, so I'm really looking forward to that match.
I have yet to make it go off. I played like 5 games with it, and like got my pieces together, and I was playing against a meta team, and I just got wrecked. So I did it again, just slightly differently. I like changed my build order, got wrecked. So I've actually never gotten it to go off, and I'm really sad about it. A little bit sad.
I was playing it wrong, but I think I know how to play it and get it to go correctly.
Yeah, I mean, you schooled me with it there towards the end.
Yeah.
It's less about trying to get her out as quickly as possible and more about wearing the opponent down so then she actually becomes your win con, your finisher.
Sure.
Yeah. And swinging from blockable with 5 fist.
That always helps.
So next up, we'll say, Joe, guess who you're playing?
I am playing...
You're playing...
somebody. Who am I playing?
Robert.
Yeah.
And not only that, you're playing Robert right after the stream, right? Right now. You're set up. Let's go.
No. Robert didn't even know about the match. So.
Peer pressure. No, you don't actually have to play each other right now. Yeah, you don't have to do that. That would be fun, though. That would be hilarious.
I don't think Robert's ready for it.
He still has to submit his team changes, so no, he's not ready for it.
Yes, Robert. It's you and Joe versus each other, and I was wanting you to finish it so I could tell you.
Oh, I dropped.
Yeah, I lost him.
I lost you. It was him and Robert and something.
Yeah.
All right. So Michael, I know you're in chat. Michael, you are 2-0. Congratulations. You are also playing a 2-0 player in Chris Club, one of my local friends here, who's playing very well as of late. As he's gone 2-1 in both of his matchups, I believe. He is playing a Boom Boom Morph team and a Nobby Owlman team, which is a very interesting construction, a very good construction, because Nobby and Owlman work really well together. And,
yeah, I've had the good fortune of commentating a couple of Chris Club's matches, and I've played the guy too, just like you said, he's a good guy.
I don't see Michael. Yeah, Michael's right at the top. Boom Boom, Yanti, and Collector, Nobby. Sounds like my list. Boom.
They were pretty similar, actually. Let me take a look, because I was noting that Mike's list and your list as well, and I've also played Mike a lot too. He's pretty good. Only thing is he's actually using the that uncommon basilisk, and that thing is just really good.
Yeah, he mentioned in chat switching the one of his cards for uncommon basilisk.
He switched it to what he accidentally played in my game against me.
Wrecked. Next up, we have Stephen McEwen and Matt Jourdain, and both of them are, I believe, 1-1 as well. Matt Jourdain is 1-1. Stephen McEwen is 1-1. They're both 3-2 in games, if we're speaking in games. So that is like perfect even matchup, which is very interesting.
Absolutely.
And the teams that they're running are what? Let's see. Adam Warlock, the Madam Web Adam Warlock combo, and a staff team for Stephen McEwen, which is very cool. I would totally be into watching those games. And then Matt's running Sidekicks and Dragons.
Nothing wrong with that.
So
I've had the pleasure of playing both of those Sidekicks and Dragons teams. I'm sorry. I've had the pleasure of playing those, and I just got to say, awesome. The Dragons team especially is just amazing. Every time I see it, it's just crazy.
As I was going down the list of organizing the spreadsheet that I'm using to look at right now, I looked at his team for just like a little bit longer than normal, and I was like, yes. So I kind of regretted not bringing that off meta choice as well, because it's pretty cool, and I think it does have potential. That's going to be a game that I would definitely tune into. So if they want to announce it, then please be my guest. I would watch that.
Yeah. I really want to. I want to watch all the matchups this week. I'm so interested.
Here's an interesting one. This one I didn't quite. So Swiss matches you up, and maybe it's this different version of Swiss that I found that the website's using. But Swiss is supposed to match you up with someone of equal record, correct?
If it can, yeah.
If it can, okay, maybe that's well. No, see, that doesn't make much sense. So Zach, who has not dropped a game, right?
Yeah, I saw that matchup, and that's so ridiculous.
Is matched up with TJ, who I'm not saying anything bad about TJ Bozilla, because TJ and I have been playing online Dice Masters since I ran the very first one in 2015, which is pretty cool. and but he's sitting currently at 1-1, which is nothing to scoff at. And let me see, I think he's 10th overall, 3-3 in games. But I don't know why the computer paired them up.
I think it's because everyone else had to go through. Strange. Everyone else that was tied was more of a priority because they are tied in the standings, whereas he's not tied with anyone, and so it took the next below that's not tied in the standings, and I believe that's TJ. That's what. See,
I could kind of see that.
Yeah.
These people would play. These people would play. These people would play. Yeah, I could kind of see that. Certainly.
Yeah.
It's just strange to see like a 1 versus 10 in a Swiss, you know.
Yeah.
Little bonkers, yeah. But there it is, and I think TJ is running Collector, Nobby, and Hulk. So he's the second Hulk player. So that one should be interesting versus the Immortals and Sidekicks. Tied. There, I said tied again, Robert.
Tied.
Deal with it. You're not here to defend yourself. Your eye is black or whatever. So then I am hanging out with the good old Paul Vidro. So me and Paul are going to meet up and play. And I think, let's see, Paul, you got Dragons and Sidekicks. So I get to play against the Dragon team. That's so much fun. I love Dragon teams. I probably won't enjoy it when it gets used against me, but I'll enjoy the fact that dragons are flying around and doing all that crazy stuff. That'll be fun.
Yep.
Dragons and Sidekicks, the way to do it. Who do we got next? James Yoder and Scott Murray are playing, and James is running. Where is it? I saw his name and it went away. He's like tucked in the middle. I remember. Yeah. He's running a Swarm team and a Team Up team. Now, is his the team that swapped out Rare Grabstab?
Yes. And it swapped out with a Tabashi Rogue.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was a little bit of overkill, interestingly enough, because he already has like a ton of ramp. The fact that it was on there, probably wasn't buying it. I didn't see any of his games, but I can't imagine that you need that amount of ramp because you already have
Dark Side.
You know, like two. I think you had Dark Side and 2 forms of Swarm. And he has, so he's pretty tucked in.
He has Parademon where it's like when it Swarm triggers, it does 1 damage, which is insane.
It's a great one. Yeah, that's on my list of top 10 win conditions, just because I think you could actually do something with that.
He also has Common Doppelganger, which then increases his chances of getting that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big discussion on the rules portion of our forum. So,
and he's running a Team Up team as well, and Scott's running Owlman and Yanti, and I think this is Common Yanti.
Yeah.
Or maybe this is super rare, and there is somebody else running super rare Yanti.
I don't think,
because I labeled it differently labeled it differently for a reason. I'm curious why. Let's find out. Answer
common.
Because it's common. I don't know why. I just labeled it differently. There it is. That's poor editing on my part. Cut this video out. Cut this part of the video out.
All right, we'll cut. No one sees that.
All right, good. And we're back. Troy Miller is playing Zane Carrick this week. And so that'll be interesting. Troy, I think, Troy, you're playing the similar lists to me, right? I think. I don't know if you're hanging out with us or not. But I think he's running, let's see, Troy. Oh, no, he's running Sidekicks and Hulk.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Zane is running Tricat and the White Lantern Hal, which I
not White Lantern
incorrectly
Hal.
Spelled.
Not White Lantern Hal anymore. It's Shriek.
But he swapped it, yes.
Yeah, so he's got that flip.
So he's got a lot of...
Go ahead.
No, you speak. Yeah, you know the list.
He switched out something that made his team list for the flip a little bit shorter, but it's still ungodly huge that the collector bot can't work with it.
So it's got a bunch of flip cards on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the goal is what? Because I should just pull up the list and look at
it. He's got Catwoman.
Talk to us about the goal.
If he's got Catwoman in the field and he's got his 2 other unblockables, on his next turn, if the field is clear enough, he's going to flip his cards before he gets to his turn, and if Catwoman can go through unblocked, she can do massive damage with with unblocked characters to just decimate. That's the way I see it working.
Let me pull this up.
I'd have to see that playing I'd have to see that being played on stream or whatever.
I used it in a Batman draft event, and Catwoman is legit.
Okay, so while Catwoman is active, she gains +1 attack each time you flip one of your cards. So at the beginning of your turn, when you flip, like 4 of your cards or 6 of your cards, I guess, she gets +6. Yep. And all of her iterations, all of her 3-cost dice get +6 attack, which is pretty gross. And actually, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you would get a total of +7 attack. Unfortunately, it's not like it's unblockable unless he's running Dimension Door, which he is. So good for him. So yeah, you just make that dude unblockable, make the girl unblockable, and push for, what are her stat lines? Let's see. 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3. Yes, 3, 3. So you could have a conceivable 10 attack. That's actually really easy to set up.
Yeah.
You just buy the one thing and then
Dimension
do the
Door
action at the beginning of your. Yeah, you buy 2 pieces. That's cool. All in on that. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting matchup as well, and we're down to the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. James Blore of Dice Masters with James and Zach is playing Shadow Meld. Patrick, you guys are playing together, which will be interesting to watch. Fun to watch. That'll be a good matchup. Both 2-0s.
Both have really strong teams.
Both have really strong teams and both great pilots, right? Yeah, I'd be down for watching that. These are some good matchups. Then we have Chris. Who are you up against?
Brian Sharks.
Is it just Tarks? I don't know. Brian, correct me. Like whenever you see this.
It's probably Tarks.
I don't know. We're just going to go out on a limb and say that. TJARKS. How do you pronounce the J? Tarks?
I believe it's silent. Probably.
Is it?
Or the T
hardcore silent? I'm sure. We'll go with that.
All right.
Oh, what's Brian running?
Oh, I didn't have a chance.
Have you looked?
I have not looked. I've been a little bit busy with the changes.
He's got Collector Nobby and Jubilee Danger Room. Jubilee Danger Room's interesting.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the team construction to kind of think through that. Let's see it. Pulling it up.
Thanks, Ben, for that pronunciations. Just showing how he spells his name.
It's pronounced. Okay, thanks. Yeah. There you go. All right. So on this construction, he has Rare Bishop, Stone Golem for Fabricate. Use an action die to spin up stuff for Angel. I'm assuming we have something that happens. Oh, Awaken to deal. Yeah. Okay, so this is one of the where's the piece? So this is Uncommon Danger Room. You play it, and it triggers Angel, which says while Angel is active, when you use an action die, in this case Danger Room, spin target character up 1 level. And so you spin up your Jubilee, who has the Awaken, deal 1 damage. So it KOs their entire board, and I would imagine you just push through with something like Batiri Battle Stack, which is what you have here. So that's a pretty cool little setup and a pretty nice way to do it.
I'm just going to let him take the win on that one.
The only thing I see that might be an issue is there's really only Batiri Battle Stack that does damage. But, my God, my voice, it's gone. No, but Batiri Battle Stack, the one he's running, is the one that gains +1/+1 for each other in the field zone. So you're looking at, if he gets all 4 out, then you're looking at 6/6 Batiri Battle Stacks, and you only need 4 of those, which is literally all of them.
So, and conversely, he could run the Stone Golem as the finisher as well.
Prevent 1 combat damage. Just a straight up hit with the 6/7
the big body. Yeah.
Well, actually, thinking about this, hold on. You don't actually need all 4 Batiri Battle Stacks. You only need 3 Batiri Battle Stacks, 1 Angel, and the Jubilee that's in the field. So the 2 pieces that are in the field plus 3 Batiri Battle Stacks, and you're good. Because each of those Batiris get +3/+3, so assuming they're on the 2/1, then they're all 5s. So you have 15 damage there, plus like the 3/3 side, which is 18, plus Jubilee, a 3/3 side, or 2/1 side. So yeah, you have 20 damage almost exactly with the combo.
Why do I have the feeling I'm going to be 1 in 3?
I don't know. there's stuff to do with that, though.
Yeah,
I think it takes a little bit of setup. So, but that is a cool team and a well constructed setup. You've been waiting this whole time, Ben. This whole time in chat, you've just been like twiddling your thumbs, making comments like a little nervous. The person that you're playing is Laurier. You are playing Laurier.
Ooh.
So it's you versus him. He's got Fix It. Tell us about your Guardians team, because that's a really fun little team. I know I saw somewhere that you mentioned. Tell us in the chat that you were just playing some really fun off meta stuff that you enjoyed. What's the goal with your Guardians team? We're gonna wait for your answer awkwardly. No one's gonna say anything. That's the answer. It has only Guardians in it. There it is. There's the answer. So tell us about your Guardians team. It's got Guardians. Step 1, complete. Only Guardians on the team.
He replaced something on that Guardians team.
Did he take off a Guardian and put on not a Guardian? Because that would be hilarious.
think so. I think it was Bishop.
Yeah, he did. He put on Bishop.
Yep.
Betrayed.
He's the jerk that did it.
Actually, it doesn't have only Guardians on it. Kate Bishop's on it as well. So
yeah,
there's that. The good Kate Bishop that also pushes back your guys, which is cool. I like how he has Rare Cosmo. This is a card that I wish kind of, made more of an impact in the meta, but hasn't. But that'll be fun. And then finally, Ryan, if you're still in chat, Ryan Slater is playing Gary Kondik. So Ryan's rounding out the round 3 with Gary as his opponent. So those are the matchups, and those will be posted tomorrow, today? When do you want to post them?
Dice Coalition's going to post it on their page tomorrow, and probably after this I might just post it on the Discord just so everyone can see it, and then possibly post it on our Facebook event.
Yeah, that'd be good. So you guys, hopefully you enjoy these upcoming rounds, this round and the next one. No more changes made to the team that you're running, so hopefully you got in what you needed, and everyone feels a little bit more at ease and more fair. This is, after all, just a nice casual tournament. Switching in between rounds isn't something that we originally intended, but I think it makes the most sense with so many people trying to get into the tournament so quickly that there were some errors, clerical errors, and allowing people to alleviate that and then allowing others to have that same opportunity seems fair to me. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a new format. We didn't have any lead up hardly at all. It was just our channel and your channel playing a little bit online of the format. And honestly, we never expected it to be this big of a tournament. Personally, I know I kind of didn't. I thought it was maybe going to get like 10 to 15, maybe. But 26 is just astronomical for me.
It's awesome. Yeah. And I think, for the most part, I think people have had fun. What about you guys in chat? Have you guys had fun with this tournament? I think the format's awesome. I think it's really fun. What do you guys think?
I think everyone's just arguing with Ben right now.
Joe, what's your opinion on the format?
What's my opinion on the format? It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting take on something that a lot of people don't really try to do, and that's try to make their teams unique enough to where they're not using the same card.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I hate it. No.
I hate it, and I'm canning it right now. Stream ends in a huff.
Oh, man.
I think it's really cool. I think it's a very simple and subtle thing to say you can't have the same card on two teams. Figure out two teams that you want to play. It's very simple and subtle, but it means a lot of thinking. It means a whole lot of deciding this is what this team really needs. This is how this team plays. And I think it pays off for the people that give that time to it. Because if you're playing something that is very on that line of being aggro to not control, but sort of a middle of the road team, if you're playing something like that and you don't know what that team wants to play like, you're going to put something on that team that doesn't really need to be there. And then you'll find out over the course of playing the tournament that probably shouldn't be there. So
it also gives a chance for cards to be, to have the spotlight and strategies as well. Things that would go overlooked in a more streamlined one-team competitive meta And this, it gives us a chance to talk about cards that people don't really see too often, except for in their locals. And then in online tournaments, all you see is just that one team that has those same 6 out of 8 cards. And so you're just like, man, I want to see what somebody else is doing with Uncommon Morph, or I want to see what somebody's doing with Hellfire Club.
Yeah, definitely. It opens it up a lot more.
I would love to see this played in official events for WizKids. That's just me being optimistic about the format. Because I think it does have a whole. Because could you imagine how it would have been this year before the rotation and in the WKO season if you had to play two teams with Yonti and Cube? Yes, the person with Yonti Cube would probably win one game, but then after that, what are they going to do? They got to have another competitive team that doesn't have everything they had on that one team. It would have been devastating for that person with the Yonti Cube to try to push another win out.
Perhaps. I mean, the other thing you just run is like villain control, but whether or not like rotation, this makes rotation better. I think the fact that it exists right now, just in general, is good. You know what I mean? Like in a general sense, I think this is a really cool format because, as you said, you do have to squeak out a win with both teams. And the fact that you have to get a win with both teams means you have to find a way to win against bad matchups, because you're going to pick up the win with a good matchup, as was pointed out in chat, which I think is a great point. Yes, Ben pointed it out, said, where is it? Where did he say it? Good, more thinking. The format's great because it guarantees you at least one good matchup, and you're not going to get that in most tournaments, and that's the life of tournament plays. You're going to have to face a bad matchup, but the fact that you do get the option of counter queuing against somebody's good matchup so that you can kind of get an edge, which is really cool. Provides a lot of strategy, both team building, a lot of thinking through, a lot more strategy than just we sit down and play, So I think great format.
You were part
of it. This is a golf clap right next to the microphone, because I wouldn't clap like this loud. That's a bad idea. Just generally bad idea.
Waking some kids up.
All right, you guys, lay on me your final thoughts before we hit it. Or at least before I hit it, because I'm going to hit it. I'm going to sleep, man. Actually, I need to eat some food or something.
I ate before I came on cheese enchiladas. Yeah.
Solid. That's a good final thought. Next. What's your final thought, Chris?
I'm glad everyone's been as accommodating about the changes. It's been really rough because a lot of people had mistakes on their teams. There wasn't a lot of lead up. Going forward, next tournament, we're going to have lead up to it and have fun, and appreciate everyone. It's been a blast. I say that every time, but it doesn't change.
Joe, what you got?
Round 3 is going to be the round of changes, and I'm talking big, heavy swings in the standings. I'm talking more players are going to have tighter, cleaner plays now that they know their teams, now that they have had a chance to get their 4 to 6 games out of the way and go, okay, well, I need to strengthen on this side and I need to do a little bit less on that side, especially with the team changes coming into effect. It's just going to blow open. It's going to blow the tournament on its side, really. This is the round for us to gain momentum and keep that momentum.
Yeah. Final thought from me. I had all this time to think about something, and I didn't think of anything. I think it's because you guys had such good ones. Don't do drugs. That's a solid one right there. Go watch Avengers Infinity when it comes out. WizKids, pay attention to what the community's doing, because there's some great things that are going on here that can totally be adapted and adopted. Also, chat, you guys are awesome for hanging out with us and talking constantly. That's a good thing. Sometimes it's not, but it's a good thing in chat, so good on you. Absolutely. All right. That seems like a good place to end it, because we've been going for what, like an hour and change? That's like perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's perfect. So you guys have a good evening. I'm going to go relax. I got a big thing tomorrow, so I should probably get to sleep. So thank you for having me on. It's been a blast.
Thanks.
Don't forget to shave.
I need to trim this thing down, man. I'm getting evaluated tomorrow, so.
Oh, jeez. Good luck with that.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Be sure to like, subscribe, and subscribe, DM Armada. You're probably already, but, do it anyways. Do it twice.
I'll take it.
All right.